Hello, welcome to the stream. I'm streaming a bit earlier today, just because it was a little late the last few streams that I've done in my time. 11:30 at night is quite late for me. So I'm starting a bit earlier, and I might be keeping this routine. I'm hoping to keep it earlier than this, but we'll see how it goes in the next few weeks or so. But thanks for tuning in. Today I will be continuing the hide and seek logic. I made those keys and door locks, so I'll be integrating them today, and we'll be testing out a bit of the logic, see if we can add a little bit of a lobby system, and then that would probably be it for streaming this logic on the Sandbox stream on their official channels. I'll be continuing this on my personal stream after this because I can't put all of this together in three streams. It's way too much work. But I have put a lot of the main logic that would be used in the main game. There'll be a lot of altering and changing timings and when things occur and all that sort of stuff. But I'll do that on my main channel, which I haven't streamed on my main channel in a long time. So I'll be making more of a habit of streaming on my channel. But yeah, we will dig straight in. Now, the keys I made are all color coded. They're not the best keys, but they are something that will represent what we need. I didn't take very long to put this together. But there should be 6 in total. I don't think I made more than 6. Nope. All right, and I think I made the matching locks as well. We'll just type in lock and prop. And there we go. We got blue lock for the blue key. The gold key. The green one. The orange one. And we got the red one and the purple one. So we'll bring those out, get rid of these, and we'll rotate these around. I put this together quite quickly. They're obviously not high quality, but they will do for the mechanics that we're trying to put together. Hi Novex, how's it going? So we're going to put these on the doors, and this will like represent the color key needed to open a door. Something like that. Or we can just cover it so it doesn't have anything but the lock. Something like that. And we can do that for each color lock. And then we can probably save these as a presets and spawn them when the game begins. We could have the doors at the exact same location when it comes to color and randomize the keys. That might be a bit easier to do. But what we can do here is instead of trying to line everything up, we can just replace. And this will probably be faster. Something like that. Just delete these as we go along. And we just replace. And the last one is the blue lock. What happened there? Replace? There we go. All right, so we've got our color-coded locks and the keys to go with it, and we can just program it now to open up when the player is holding a key right near the door. There is a new behavior coming out in 0.11, which will allow combination locks. So you can input a password to open up a door, which will be another method that we could use in 0.11 when it comes out, to make it more interesting to open up doors rather than just walking over there with a key. Cool. All right, so we do have a behavior on these doors. Message on open can be sent. We don't really need that. So what we'll do here is we'll get rid of those messages to none. And one of them did have a volume. I just saw which one, this one. So we'll get rid of that. And then we'll go ahead and apply that volume on all of them, because we want the volume to detect the key. And detection type will be specific tags in range. And we can't edit the logic and see more for some reason. So we're going to have to go in one by one. So specific tags, we probably want it to be small-ish. You can see that the door doesn't have a very good pivot point. It's not center. So we'll see if we can use a different door for this one. They all have the off-centered door. Don't know why that's the case. Must be the template for the door not being center. Yeah. That's okay. We don't have to put the volume on the door. We can just go ahead and put it on the locks. And I know the locks are center because I made them. So we'll go ahead and add a volume on the locks instead. We can edit the logic. We can make it a box by one by one by one. And we want to detect specific tags in range. So if we go ahead and check that volume range, you can see it's exactly what we need. We probably want to just make it a bit thinner. 0.5. I think might be the way to go. All right, so what we need now is to put the tag, which will be purple key. And this one here will be, we may as well copy the tag directly on the key as we're doing it. So this one here will be blue key. And we'll go ahead and put that on our blue key. This one here will be our gold key. And this one here will be our final door. So any time that we see a gold key, a gold lock, that will be the exit. Orange key. Okay, go ahead and put that on that. Then we have green key. And red key. Oops. I need to get a less squeaky chair. I don't know if you can hear it. Each time I move or type, it's squeaky. Had this chair for too long. Needs to go. All right, so we're going to do a pickable for this, so the player can pick it up. We probably don't want it to be hovering too far above us, and we want to see it a lot, so that's fine. And when this is near it, we want to send a message, open door. And we want to broadcast to everyone in range, and we just want to make it one by one by one. That should open that door. We'll save it and test that out and see if it works. And we don't want to kill the key. We want a player to be able to drop it so other players can pick it up or be utilizing it in other parts of the map. But we'll test it out and see if it works. Oh, yes, that's right. We're still a bin. Doesn't quite detect it, or I don't have the right message here. No, I don't have the right message. So I'll go ahead and highlight all the doors and make sure that open door is the right message. And we'll test that again. Okay, so that's good. When a door opens, we want to destroy the lock as well. So just go ahead and add a plant component on all of them, and we can kill it with open door. So when the door opens, it should kill the lock as well. Test it out. Yep, it does. And then we can drop it. And that's it. So now there is no more interaction with the key and this door. The lock has disappeared. And I'm able to take this and move it around to wherever it's needed. Awesome. With the player, we'll switch that back just to the regular avatar. And we got the open door, so that's fine. And we got everyone in range one by one by one. So I'll go ahead and do that for all of these in a one go. And we'll have everyone in range one by one by one. And the message will be open door. And I think that's it. We'll save it and test it. So each key now, each color key should be able to open up its own door and remove the lock. Okay, so we open up the blue door. Yes. This one should, oh, why is that not picking up? Oh, there we go. So none of these should open. But when we walk near the purple door, there we go. It does what it's supposed to do. Perfect. I'm going to make these just a little higher. And I probably won't make these go down so much. Something like that should be fine. All right, so we've got our keys, which open up the specific colored lock, and the door opens when a key is pretty much on the door. So that's one of the mechanics we need for the game. And then what we need is like an RNG system to spawn these keys in different rooms when the game starts. All right. Do we have our lock options for these now? I want to make sure we can lock. Yes, we can. So this is tag detection. And what we want to do is just double check if this is the whole map. It does, it covers the whole map. Okay, and what we could do here is we can lock them. So that way we can't move them. Perfect. And now I can't highlight them, which means I can't move them. And that's great. Cool. All right, next we're going to name these purple door. And we're going to make sure we got our right naming conventions. And then we're going to parent the lock to the door. Awesome. And now we got our purple lock. We'll put it on our purple door. And we got our, what do we got? Gold lock. We'll put that on our gold door. We got our red lock. We'll put that on our red door. We've got our green lock. We'll put that on our green door. Blue lock goes on the blue door. And orange lock goes on the orange door. We'll create a folder and we'll rename it and call it doors. And we're going to put our doors in that folder and keep it neat. I can select that folder now and it will move everything in it. Next, we're going to get another folder and call it keys. And we're going to put our 6 keys into that folder and keep it clean. All right. Now these keys need to be presets so we can spawn the right keys. Well, not necessarily the right keys, but to spawn the key in random locations. And we can do that with RNG and presets. And now we got orange key, a green key, and then a red key. All right, so they are all now in presets. We've got our doors. Basically what we need now is to create a little bit of a map. It doesn't have to be dramatic for this one. It's just a bit of an example. These are locked. I don't have to worry about those. This system can be underground, I think. Especially this. So what we can do here is we can say RNG. No, this will be seeker spawners. And we'll grab all of that, put it in the seeker spawner. And just name it how we want. It'll be nice to lock the whole folder instead of one by one. That might be coming in the next version of Game Maker. But right now you need to lock them one by one. But in this case, I'm just going to move them somewhere else for now. We can probably put this under the map and it should still work just fine. To test that out, I'm going to save and we'll test out the RNG and make sure that the detection still works and spawns on top of the avatar. So we've got our RNG system rolling. No, I guess not. It has spawned, but as you can see, it hasn't attached to the avatar. So maybe there is an issue with it being too far. What we can do is bring it back up here. And test it one more time. Okay, that worked. Was it because of an issue with just number 5, or was it a distance issue? Let's try again. Doing a randomizer. Looking for number 7. Okay, we got number 7 now. So we got our speed increase. So that all works at number 7 from our previous stream, where we can actually do individual abilities with cooldowns. As you can see, we've got our speed increase, which is working. Awesome. All right, so it was in particular with number 5 that wasn't working. We haven't got them all set up correctly, but that's okay. We can always work on that later. So this one here was just a test to see if the messages were triggering, and it is, so we don't need that anymore. This one here is to send a message TP hiders once we've spawned a seeker, and to let us know the game has started. We'll need to juggle around with that in a moment. And this one's to say game has started. All right. This thing here is RNGing when the avatar is walking over there. That's not going to be how it works. We're going to have a lobby system. When the players join up, there will be a countdown. When that countdown hits 0, then it will do an RNG. I think that's the way to do it. And we can make these invisible as well. So far so good. Let's set up a lobby system. So when a player joins, it will have a countdown. When a countdown hits 0, that means no other players can join, and it will randomly pick a seeker. So let's go into our rules system, and what we need here is a time, and this one here will be countdown. Awesome. And we probably need a lobby system. So let's collect. So we've got a local number. Local number is determined by the avatar portal. So what we can do here is just have a local for lobby system. Cool. We can set number value. So we'll say lobby system. And we can say player. And we'll have a message argument. And that message argument will be a number. Will be player number, and click create, and we want to set lobby system local, and it'll be message argument. When we join up, we also want to have a math rule for player, and we want to use the variable, well, we've got players. So what we can do here is we'll get the variable players, then we're going to add 1 to equal players. And what we can do here is say start countdown. So when a player joins, it will add 1 to players, and we can start countdown. We could wait until there's 2. So what we can do here is we can do a compare numbers. So instead of having start countdown here, we can say compare players. And we'll bring that over here. We're going to compare players, and we're going to compare the player's global variable. And if it equals to greater than or equals to 2, then we can say start countdown. If you want 3 players before the game begins, you just change that to 3. And now we do a time comparison, which is start timer. So we're going to do start countdown. And that variable will be countdown. Duration will be, say, we'll just do 8 seconds. In a normal game, it will be like 15 or 30 seconds. And then once that starts, we can do the RNG. We want to display that countdown as well on the HUD. So we're going to go to our HUD, which is in the top left corner of our grid. And we'll do countdown. Awesome. We could do another HUD. And a reason for that is you probably don't want the countdown timer to be there when the game starts, only when it's relevant. I'll show you what I mean, and then I will alter it so we can bring it up when it's more relevant than just being there on default. So when the HUD pops up, you can see up at the top, it says game begins and it's 0. We don't want that. So what we want to do is only pop that up when the game is actually going to start the countdown. So what we can do here is we can duplicate this HUD. We get rid of this one. So that's not there anymore. And this one here will be put on when the player. So when you pick up a object to join, then that will pop up. So now let's bring out something to collect for the player to join. We'll just use this ancient artifact. It's nice and easy. We'll make this one a collectible. We could have it be a false, meaning if it's true, there's only one in the multiplayer experience, and the first player that picks it up will make it disappear and no other players can pick it up. If we go false, that means that there is one per player per instance, so everyone will get a chance to pick it up, and we can send a message player. So this should work. The player number doesn't really matter because we got tags on here, so the local number doesn't really matter, but we can put it there anyway. But if it does matter for you and you do have some logic for it, you just duplicate it and you just change it from false to true, and then you just change the number to be 1, 2, 3, whatever the case may be. So we want to send that message to the rules or all, that's fine. And we'll just give it a sound. So that's all good too. We've got 16 pages of sounds. There's a lot of things going on now with the sound library. I haven't checked them all out yet, but I'm yet to put some time to do that. But once I do that, I'll be able to determine which sounds would be good for a lot of different games. Highly recommended to use it for immersion. All right, so we're loading in, and we shouldn't see the game time up on the top anymore. But when we pick this up, you can see now there's a countdown, And then when that hits 0, the RNG should trigger on the left. Perfect. And it stopped because, okay. It actually worked this time. It stopped on 1 for some reason, but then it continued and went to 9. So let's try that again and see if we can replicate that issue. And if it does it again, we'll look into that logic. But you can see now that we have the starting area where players can pick up one of these things. And when I do pick it up, they'll be teleported into a game. I can make the teleport happen. So it stops on 1. Is that because of my local variable? When I pick that thing up, it sets my variable to 1. It's spawned number 1 down there too. So there's definitely an issue with that. We'll check it out. So we're definitely not player 1. So I'm going to grab this whole login system. Or lobby system, I should say. We'll bring it up here. So we've got local number, we've got player number. And the player number is using lobby system. And it adds 1 to players, it compares. So even though we said it needs to be greater than or equals to 2, it still starts. So let's check what's going on there, and we can check by adding the variable players. So let's test this out. Oh, it's not showing the players. Maybe if I pick this up. Now it's saying there's 2 players. Maybe I have the variable start at 1 when it should be 0. Yeah, so the RNG likes number 1, for instance. Interesting. There's something going on there, and I don't know what that is. All right, so if we go to our variables and players, player should be 0. So I don't know why it's adding an extra 1. And I don't know why it's activating on 1 and not for its actual number. Let's check it out. Assign local number, which is fine. Seeker, that's fine. We've got an RNG system, which should be fine. This one here compares our local number, which should be fine as well. We got up to 11. What we can do here is we'll put our players here as well, so we can see what actually is happening when the game begins. Is it on 0 or is it on 1? We will find out. So player starts at 1. Okay. And if we go to our rules, our players should start at 0. So something is adding 1 to players straight away. And I think we just created that variable, right? Maybe we need to change it somewhere. I think I'm adding one somewhere and I don't know where it is. So we've got player, lobby system, player, add one to players, compare players. So maybe I can do the debug. So with the debug, I can go to the rules logger to see what is actually happening. So if we go to the gameplay and we click on lobby system, we click debug. So now this can tell us what's happening. So now let's do a quick play test and see if it gives us any clues on why one is being added to players. So let's hop out and see if it gives us any notes. Okay. So local number, variable, lobby system, value from 0 to 1. So lobby system is fine. Next we got global number, variable players, value 1, and 1 with the operator add. Okay, so that's when I picked this up, right? Start countdown if global players is 2, which it does, and that gives us 8 seconds. All right. Setting the local number, variable, lobby system. So lobby system is 0, lobby system, and players. That's very interesting. Let's tab and tab again, and we'll see without picking up this thing here if it does us any justice in the debug. So players is 1. Let's hop out. Debug, logger, and you can see here player message activated, set number value rule. Local number, local system, sorry, lobby system from 0 to 1. So the lobby system is fine, but then we have player message activated math rule. So this one shouldn't be activating. So let's change the message here because it might be interacting with something else. +1 player. And we can just say fixed value 1, and we'll just say +1 player. Players add 1 equals players. Let's see if that changes anything. Done it again. I don't know why it's adding 1. But what we can do here is, I don't think this is going to give us any clues, because there's nothing send in. Maybe we're using this variable elsewhere. Here, players in, we got players. Okay, so that's what's going on. we can keep this message, it's not a problem, but we have a how many players are in a map using this same variable. So this is what's going on. We need a change variable here. So what we can do here is we can just say here players in game. And we can then change this one to players in game. And then if players in game is greater than 2, then start the countdown. So we can change this from players to players in game. So it was a human error with logic, of course, it always is. All right, so players is 0. When I pick this up, it didn't add 1. It should add 1 still. So player picks it up. Then it has player, then takes the variable. Did I not change it? Yes, player in game, players, player in game, add 1 equals player in game. That's why. Okay. That should do it. Now we want to teleport the player as well when I pick it up. So we can, for this case, we're just going to teleport over here. Duplicate one of these, and we'll just apply the teleport on this numpad. And we'll just select this numpad for it to go. It will be instant teleportation. We'll go ahead and save and we'll check that out. So now when we pick up this collectible, it should add 1 to players in game and teleport us to the battlefield. And the battlefield could be just a waiting area while the RNG system kicks in. So when the timer goes down to 0, RNG system kicks in, picks a seeker, then kicks everyone else out into the game. So our local number is 17. Now we've been teleported, and now the RNG system's not working because we're looking for at least 2 players. We can put a variable at the bottom of the map to let players know how many players have joined. We'll just call this one players needed. And we'll put that here. Players needed. And we could change the value type to be value plus max. And we can make that 2. And we could go ahead and put that on the same one over here. So players needed, copy and paste. Change this from value max to 2. So now when we actually, we need to add 1 to players needed. So players in game, we could probably do that. Players in game, players needed could be the same thing. So I can say players needed and players needed. Let's check that out again. Okay, we'll pick it up. You see at the bottom, players needed 0 of 2. We picked it up. And we've got 1 of 2. And when it's 2 of 2, then the countdown will begin for the game. Obviously, we don't have 2 players here, so we're just going to change it to 1, but just showing how that part works. And all we need to do is just change that from equals to 1, and then that should count down. And then we can problem solve why it stops at 1 when it should be checking for my actual local number. So our local number is 19. We pick this up. You can see we are now counting down. Now the RNG system should work. There it goes. It spawns number 1 for some reason. And I don't know why. Don't know why. Maybe it's a tag issue. But it should be detecting, it should be stopping for number 19, not number 1. We'll go check it out. So this one here is spawn seeker 1. It toggles off, maybe. Yeah, so it spawns H1. Spawn A1. Yeah, that's fine. Spawn seeker 1, then A1, okay. Spawn seeker 1, RNG gap. So here we got tags 1 and 1, but we were just 19, 18, so we got 18 and 18, 19 and 19. So I'm pretty sure last week it was working, it wouldn't stop at number 1. So we've definitely added or changed something that made it RNG, minimum value, maximum value. So here is our RNG roll. And then it compares the numbers. Here is the comparison. And what we're doing here is if it compares the number and RNG is equal to 1, spawn seeker 1. So it does a roll, compares the number, and then it says spawn seeker 1. So let's go ahead and have a look at what's going on there. So this one's spawn seeker 1, and initial behavior is on. Is the rest off, or what's going on? Initial behavior is on. Initial behavior is on. So we are turn on messages, toggle 3 off. So they're all on. I may have made a boo-boo somewhere. So the seeker Set number value seeker is a value of 1. So this one might be what it is. So message is seeker. Let's go ahead and go into our debug and we'll type seeker. And what's receiving it is that. And what is sending it is none. So message required is seeker, right? But there is nothing sending seeker. So if I delete this, nothing's going to happen. Local number is fine. Then we have P1, local number, player 1, P1, player 2, P1. Local number equals to 1, local number equals to 2. And this one's for player 1. Is that what it is? I think this is what it is. And this one here is player 2. It's a bit messy. The logic definitely needs a little bit of work. And this is not something you can do very quickly. Definitely needs problem solving. So P1. So let's see where P1 is being sent. All right, sending P1 is key input. Aha, so when I push P1, that's to the pushing of the player, okay. But that shouldn't be spawning the actual pickable. Definitely shouldn't be stopping there. Let's see, am I missing other numpads? What are these numpads doing? Oh, this is the RNG amount. I think we changed that. And we got the hiders, so that's fine. This is when the game is started. Oh, you can't even edit the logic when it's locked. Oh, there you go. Learned something new then. That's not cool. All right, so it's going to detect the tag 1 and then send a message, enter message, toggle 1 on. And that comes down here, right? To toggle 1 on. So that turns it off. Toggle 1 on, this turns on with the tag. And then it spawns seeker 1. So toggle 1 on. Let's see if we can problem solve this one. We're just going to go ahead and put a speaker. And we'll put the message toggle 1 on. We'll keep it on for 10 seconds, don't need to look. And we'll just see if this one actually pops up with the message toggle 1 on at any point. It shouldn't trigger unless I'm tag 1, but you can see it's triggered straight away. So I might be using the number 1 tag somewhere else, and unfortunately we can't search up tags. So toggle 1 on is being used. Toggle 1 on is looking for tags 1. So if I change this to say Q1 and then test it, it probably won't send. So it means I've got a tag somewhere that has 1. We'll confirm that in a moment. Yep. So no speaker has triggered this time. And my local number happened to be 1 this time around. So we just need to find now where that tag is. And lucky for us, it shows us down here. This one. All right, so this one is the tag. That was ruining our logic. All right, so we problem solved that one. That won't happen again. And now that shouldn't break our game. So we should be player number 2, which we are. We could pick this up and it will begin our countdown. We can look on the edge of the map to look underneath. We're looking for RNG 2 and 2 is now spawned. And now we have our pickable. Now I see another one has spawned underneath. I don't know if that's going to happen each time, so let's test it out because we don't want that to occur. We only want just a 1 to spawn and then stop. So what's happening is I have 2 triggers for the RNG, the original one and the one that happens with the countdown. So this is triggering. We need to, do we want to delete that? Or do we just want to get rid of the broadcaster? I mean the trigger volume. We might need to keep this because the RNG gap is the thing that gets sent. All right, so we can pick this up now. We can run this over here. The RNG is not ticking anymore because we got rid of the trigger that was doing it. And that's what caused 2 of them to spawn. Oh, the first number rolled was 4. And you can see that that worked perfectly. Now we've got our speed buff. It is backwards because that was the earlier version we did. But as you can see, we now have a starting function, an allocation function, a timing function. We've got the keys and the locks now. So we're doing pretty well. All right, so when a player is actually a seeker, it would be nice if post-processing was a single player behavior. And that way we can make the seeker's screen black while everyone else is not. But you can teleport the player to a specific area while things happening. But you can see post-processing is multiplayer. So when you change effects in the game, it affects everybody. So everyone will see the same thing. But it would be good if it was a single player as well. So we can do different effects visually for different players. That will take things to the next level, in my opinion. All right, so we got most of the basic functions here now. Next, we need to put all of these presets to be the same. And then we're going to change this box over to an asset. So yes, it looks like a big beige box over the avatar. It's not very good. This can be a creature or something of that sort that goes over the avatar. So when you see it, that's the creature that is chasing you. and then you can see who you're meant to be running away from. And then we've got to build a map. So we want RNG system for the keys. So let's do that part. So we'll go ahead and get our numpad. Here we're going to have an asset spawner. And for this one, we're going to spawn the presets, and the presets will be, you know, the keys. So this one here will be a blue key. And maybe we can, there will be different ways that you can make this RNG system to spawn the keys in different locations. So you might have the same hiding spots or spots where the keys spawn, but the colors of the keys will be different each game. Or maybe there's objects there, or maybe there's multiple parts where the keys don't spawn. So there might be 6 keys on the map, but there might be 20 different spawn locations. So you want them to be able to pick 6 locations are random, and then spawn those keys in those locations. And then you need a message system to determine when each one is allocated. Sort of like what I did with the deal or no deal experience, where you had the 26 chests with the number values, and then you just RNG'd the number values in all 26 chests. You could probably do something similar with the keys. So it picks out of the 20 spawn locations, it picks 6 numbers and then spawns a key, one of the color keys in one of those 6 locations. That one there sounds a bit too confusing to do straight off the bat. There'll be a lot of logic to put together for that one to make that part work. So we've got our keys here. We've got the red key. So when the game starts, we have player, and then we have start countdown. So I think this is when it should occur. So if we have enough players and we start countdown, that's when the RNG system should kick in. So start countdown, we could allocate. We will have 2 RNG systems, one that begins for the player to be the seeker, and one that will allocate the keys in their right locations. So we can go ahead and say key RNG, and then we need a rule for that. So to roll a random number, we can call that key RNG, and we want to spawn a number between 1 and 6, and then we want to compare key RNG. Now we probably need a whole chain for that one as well. And just like what we use down here, we could probably have something like that. So it will go through and toggle things off. And we probably want to do between 1 and 15 or 1 and 20, depends on how many spawn locations we have. And then we can say the number we want to compare is key RNG, and if it equals to a certain value, then spawn. Or maybe we have a key counter, and when that key counter is up, then we roll again until it hits 6. Key allocation. And we can say compare, if it equals to 1, we can set key location 1. And just like the deal or no deal, if it's already been allocated, it will skip to the next roll until all 6 keys are allocated, and we can keep a track of the allocation amount. Once it's allocated, you use the math rule to say add 1, and then it spawns. And you want these keys to spawn in random locations, but also accessible locations. So if you have a room with a green lock, and the only way to get in is to unlock that room with the green key, you don't want the green key to spawn inside that room in an asset spawner, because then you will break the game and then no one will be able to access that room because the key is in that room. So that's another thing to keep in mind when trying to put this stuff together as well. So that requires a bit of planning. So we can have a green room, a green asset spawner, not in that room. So we can have a copy of all of these stacked on top of each other in appropriate areas, so you don't accidentally RNG something that you shouldn't. So if you have a green room, that green room will have a key where you'll a key that will spawn inside that room, for instance. Just quickly do something like that, and that room will have a copy of each of these except for the green one. So when we do our RNG system, when it does allocate a green key, it won't be inside a green room. And you'll need multiples. You'll stack them on top of each other, basically. And there's multiple ways to do allocations as well. So if it hits a number that hasn't been rolled before, it can send a message out, and that message can be used by using gravity. So let me show you that one. And tiles. So we've got a concrete tile. This is something I did back a few years ago. And basically what you do is you make this collisions and gravity, and then you have this one underneath. So the numpad will fall directly on top. And when a certain number is rolled, it will remove this. You can have plant or you can have actor property to remove it, and then the numpad will fall underneath. The numpad will have a tag, key allocation, and then you have a speaker underneath that detects it. And when the numpad lands on it and detects that that tag, then you can send a message to allocate that key at whatever number it rolled on. And the detection, you probably want it to be really, really tight. You want it to be a box, and probably 0.2, something to be really small. And when you remove this, we can trigger this. So we can just test this out. So we do trigger, and we are detecting the right tag that we need, key allocation. And we just need to have something that deletes this just to show how this part works. Kill tile. And we can send a message when we pick this up to kill tile. All right, we'll save that because we're using gravity and I don't know if it will crash the game maker or not. It's always good to save before testing. Okay, so you can see nothing's happening here and the detection it hasn't been triggered. But when I pick this up, you can see it killed that tile. The gravity pulled the numpad down and triggered this. I kicked it off. We'll play some numpad football. Kick some numpads around the field. All right, so we got a lot of the functions here. There is a lot more to do and requires a lot of thinking and problem solving when it comes to the key allocations. Once the key allocation is in, then we can test out the experience with the seeker, but we also need to have the infection part working as well. So when a player is captured, it spawns one for them as well, and then you got two players looking for the other players. The only problem with infection is that games will end really quick if you don't have places for the hiders to dodge seekers and also have them be able to enter areas like vents or crawl in spaces what the seekers can't do. In order to do that, you probably need to have on the pickable itself, have a tag, and if that tag is detected near a vent entrance, it sends a message to the seeker, and it will basically, you can't really kill them off. It's probably not a good idea. You can't stop them from crawling either. You could probably have a door vent that shuts, so when a player crawls through and the seeker comes behind and it's too close to the vent, you can probably have something that blocks the vent, but it also blocks the vent for the hider as well, which is fine. You don't want the hider to go back through when there's a seeker there. Just things to think about, really. But yeah, I'm gonna call it a stream. I will continue this experience on my channel later on throughout the week. I'm just not feeling 100% this week, so I'm going to go have a nap. And if you have any questions, send me a message on Discord, and I'm more than happy to help. Have a good one. Take care.